Good morning from here. I don't know what time it is wherever you are, obviously, or even what year, because I'm aware that these videos are on the internet for that long. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to take an early autumn wander. Doing a walk I've done before, but going the other way, because I normally go anti-clockwise. Well, Dayersville, we're about to be followed by cows. So when you hear the hooves thundering towards you, it gets a bit hairy. I expect you can see them in the background. Follow me food, no doubt, but I haven't got any. So yeah, that's what we're up to today. Good job they're not mothers with babies, eh? They look like male cows to me. Male cows? Bulls. I made them jump because I made a noise getting up onto this stile. Okay, let's... that kind of noise. There you go. That's, for those of you who don't know, that's the sound of a man stopping himself getting a hernia, or in my case, making his hernias worse. It is, that's what men do. So you hear men making weird grunting noises, right? What that is that they're tensing up. They're tensing up their lower muscles in order to prevent them from having any weakness and thus causing a hernia. But quite an uninteresting bit to walk down, so I thought instead of showing you the scenery up front, which is just what you've seen at the start there, it continues now for about a mile. I thought I'd talk to you. Well, when I was young, I'll start this way. It's quite hard sometimes because I'm doing this off the cuff. I've worked it through in my mind, sort of. But when I was a child, when I was a very young child, I had a very, what would be called, traumatic experience. Very. And as a result of it, I've kind of realised, from what I've been told, let's see if you can see that. Strange, that blue thing, that's the sun, yeah? Isn't that weird? Is it blue or is it white? I can't tell because I've been looking into it, so the yellow has gone blue in my eyes. Lovely, isn't it? And then not long after, I became quite ill. In fact, I was delirious for a while. From what I can gather from my mother, who's unforthcoming with information, it was a couple of weeks. Anyway, I went to, obviously I was taken to the doctors and stuff. I'm not going to tell you what the incident is, so I don't have to put a warning. And the doctor said he was so baffled, right, that he said, well, has he been near any cows? Because his symptoms line up with something that you could catch from cows. Well, whether you can catch that anymore or whether that was just back in that time they thought those sort of things, I don't know. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, or what I'm trying to talk about, is that what trauma can cause later on in life. Now, I've been having probably an eye-opening time, actually. Not really about things I absolutely didn't know anything about, but just the severity of the things. Now, if you have something happen to you when you're younger, I'm going to face you forward because this is there's a bit of a view here which I never see because I'm always walking the other way. And a helicopter coming, but somewhere. Well, or maybe it's just a rubbish truck, I don't know. Oh yeah, there's a helicopter flying across. Yeah. So if you have something traumatic happen to you when you're young, it shakes you. It shakes your growth. Kind of, well, possibly retards it in some way. It blocks your natural flow. And of course, if you have a traumatic event at a young age, then you have another traumatic event at a young age, then you have another traumatic event at another age, at a young age. And if you're not explained, if your parents don't explain to you what's going on, how are you going to know? You have to process this based on all the things that you already know, unless you can pull stuff from past lives. But that doesn't necessarily make any difference, because this time is an unprecedented time in the world, or as far as we are told, or as far as we know. But even in the last 70 years it is. Anyway, so what can then happen is you grow up, and then you find a way to, you kind of find ways to manage, and then maybe later on something else happens, and these things can cause all kinds of things. So for example, in my case, I've just been, not just because of that incident, but just because of a number of things from my childhood, I basically live in a fight or flight. I'm constantly, I have hyper anxiety. Right, I'm able to do stuff, but I'm able to do certain things, but other things just cause me anxiety. And the longer I wait to do those things, the greater the anxiety is. So I live in like a fight or flight. If something happens, like not having a van, I go into doom scenarios. where my life collapses and I end up killing myself, basically. You know, the whole collapse. You know, lose my jobs, lose my house, have enough, jump off a building. You know, that's kind of how the doom scenario goes. And this links in with positive, negative positivity. Ooh, time for breakfast. Shall we see? Oh yeah. Gert lush, as one might say. So, I don't know where I was. Sorry. I get distracted by the nature. I'll tell you a little story, actually. Yeah, let's tell it from here. Now, I came down here as an explorer, just to explore the local ways. And it's weird how they've put this huge fence here. What's that? That looks like chicken ground. Anyway, and in that field, the one in the distance, I saw 16 buzzards. Now at the time, well, that's still quite a lot to see at once. Anyway, there are other things that can happen if you know, if you get older. I mean, you know, so post-traumatic stress disorder is a thing. So, you know, you find ways to manage as you're younger if something happens. So, I think many people have OCD behaviours. That's what they're called, where not necessarily you've got full-blown OCD, but you know, you'll organise stuff or put stuff in a certain way. Yeah, like my mum used to have all the washing up in a tidy pile. You know, I do things, I have things that I need to do, which you know, if I don't do them, can cause me a little bit of stress. I'm able to override it, but some people with OCD, they can't they struggle to override these things. So, you know, if you have all these traumatic events and you're not given any help or have things explained to you, especially when you're younger, you know, it can explode into quite debilitating issues. Mr. Raven. Now, most people think OCD is just basically, you know, having to alphabeticize things, or you know, make sure things are tidy or square or all this kind of stuff. But that's just a you know, that's just one type or one part, because it can get quite bad for some people, and there have been cases where it's got so bad that people have taken their own lives just because they can't handle it. But it's kind of a way of dealing with, you know, putting some order into your life and dealing with something that's happened. And we're going to have a pier in here because, well, have to, don't we? there appeared. It's quite dark at the moment, but I was hoping to get some sunlight behind the... Ooh! I was hoping to get some sunlight behind the trees shots, but not to be. But the other thing I found out, or seen, is that the way people with mental health issues get treated, or don't get treated rather, it's quite bad really, because some issues people have aren't recognised by other people. So for example, you know, if you can function, if you can do stuff and you're highly intelligent, but yet you have, say, OCD issues, severe OCD issues, no one really takes you seriously, to the point where you won't get help by the authorities. They won't help you. They'll stop helping you and side with your landlords and eventually find ways to evict you from your house and not treat you. Yeah, really. And it's very difficult to know how to do with it, because we have organisations in this country. Let's peer in here. Ooh, woods, trees. Corn. Now, I do believe that this is for animals rather than humans. Nice little lane with those trees. Obviously, I'm not going to say it. Yes, so you don't get help because people don't believe it. Yeah, because in our mental health system, the stuff to do with the legal side, you know, you can get, there are organisations, right, but they are so busy, and they follow protocols, but they're so busy at the moment that if you have an emergency, you know, if you have 2 weeks, you're stuffed, really. Because firstly, you've got to find somewhere that's open. Then you've got to be able to contact them. Then speak to someone. Yeah. But you need, you know, to get free help. If you're on a low income, for example, to get free help, or, well, you know, you need to bring all this proof, which actually proof of something else when you're dealing with, like, being evicted, for example, having to find all kinds of other information to prove that you're entitled to free legal help, you know. So that's become a blank, you know. So if you're in that situation, what the hell do you do? Yeah, it's a problem. It's a big problem. But the other side of, you know, the mental health thing, doctors even, basically, they don't like it if you don't take the drugs. They don't want you to do that, because all these things, they may sound official, like they're trying to help you, but they've all got these protocols put in place, either by them or by the government, that prevent people from actually getting the help they need most of the time. These things are put up as blocks, hurdles to jump over in order to get help. So every time, people on the low incomes are the ones who suffer. And those who have money can pay for a lawyer and win the case because they have the money, not necessarily because they're right. So what happens when someone like that gets evicted? Well, I don't need to tell you what the kind of desperation that could lead to. I'm sure you can imagine it, or maybe you've even been there. I hope not. I know I have. So I don't know what I can advise anyone who's watching this who suffers from any issues or stuff. It's because I wouldn't say I wouldn't advise them to do what the system wants, but I would advise them to find another way if they can. Maybe do it as, deal with the system as far as you're able, but don't do anything you don't want to do. Because we know that to be reliant on drugs doesn't solve a problem, does it? Anyway, thanks for watching. Blessings to you all. See you next time. Ta-da.